Back in the 1970s, Southern kitchens were laboratories of creativity, where every penny counted and nothing went to waste. These weren't just recipes, they were survival strategies wrapped in comfort and served with love. Ham salad. Every Southern household had that moment when the Sunday ham had been carved down to the bone, leaving chunks too small for sandwiches but too good to waste. Ham salad became the ultimate recycling project, turning those precious leftovers into something completely new. Grandmothers would gather their hand-crank meat grinders, adding hard-boiled eggs, sweet pickle relish, and just enough mayonnaise to bind everything together. The grinding itself was often a family affair, with children taking turns at the handle, while adults fed ham and eggs through the top. Ham salad sandwiches became lunchbox staples, packed between slices of Wonder Bread with lettuce if you were lucky. Creative cooks spooned it onto crackers for quick snacks, stuffed it into tomatoes for light suppers, or molded it into party presentations for church socials. A holiday ham that cost a week's grocery money could feed a family for days through various incarnations, with ham salad being the grand finale that proved nothing went to waste. Chicken bog. Down in the low country of South Carolina, chicken bog reigned supreme as the ultimate one-pot wonder, a true testament to Southern cooking traditions that shaped America's culinary landscape. This wasn't swamp cuisine despite the name. It was pure comfort food history that could feed a crowd without breaking the bank. The dish got its name from how the rice seemed to get bogged down with chicken, sausage, and seasonings, creating a hearty mixture that stuck to your ribs. The beauty of chicken bog lay in its flexibility. Start with whatever chicken you had, add some smoked sausage for depth, throw in rice and seasonings, and let everything simmer together until the flavors married into something magical. Community gatherings often featured massive pots of chicken bog, with church ladies stirring enormous batches over outdoor burners. The dish could stretch to feed unexpected guests simply by adding more rice and broth. One pot could feed 8 people easily, and leftovers tasted even better the next day when the flavors had time to develop further into something truly special. Jambalaya. Louisiana's gift to budget-conscious cooking, jambalaya proved that rice could be the foundation for something truly spectacular, representing tasting history from the 1930s era when families made magic from simple ingredients. This one-pot wonder combined whatever protein was available, chicken, sausage, shrimp, or any combination, with rice, vegetables, and enough spice to make your taste buds sing. The dish represented the melting pot of Southern culture, borrowing from French, Spanish, and African traditions that created tasty history. The key to great jambalaya was building layers of flavor by browning the meat first, then sautéing the holy trinity of onions, celery, and bell peppers until soft. Families treasured their jambalaya recipes, passing them down through generations with slight modifications. Some preferred the Creole version with tomatoes, while others swore by the Cajun style without them. Rice stretched expensive proteins, vegetables added nutrition and bulk, and one pot meant fewer dishes to wash. A single batch could provide dinner with enough leftovers for lunch the next day. Butter beans. Nothing said Southern comfort like a pot of butter beans simmering on the back burner, their creamy texture and mild flavor making them the perfect canvas for creative cooks during the 1970s and 1980s, when vintage cooking methods still reigned supreme. These large lima beans became affordable protein sources that could anchor entire meals, especially when paired with cornbread and whatever vegetables were growing in the garden. The traditional preparation involved soaking dried beans overnight, then simmering them with a ham bone or piece of salt pork for hours until tender. Smart cooks started their beans early in the morning, letting them cook slowly while attending to other household tasks. Fresh butter beans, when available during summer months, required less cooking time but delivered even better flavor. Families would gather on porches to shell bushels of beans, turning the tedious task into social time filled with conversation. Leftover butter beans transformed into new meals throughout the week. Cold beans became salad ingredients, mashed beans spread on toast for quick lunches. Onion soufflé. French technique met Southern practicality in onion soufflé, a dish that transformed humble onions into something elegant enough for company, yet economical enough for everyday meals, creating retro dining experiences filled with memories. This wasn't just fried onions, it was a carefully crafted dish that required patience, but delivered impressive results that made guests think you'd spent far more time and money than you actually had. The process began with slowly caramelizing onions until they turned golden and sweet, a step that couldn't be rushed, but filled the kitchen with incredible aromas that any foodie would appreciate. The caramelized onions were then folded into a custard base made with eggs, milk, and cheese, creating a mixture that would puff dramatically in the oven. Timing was everything with soufflé. It had to go from oven to table quickly before it collapsed. Smart cooks learned to prepare the onions ahead of time, storing them in the refrigerator until ready to make the soufflé, maximizing their efficiency and value. Quiche Lorraine. This French import became a Southern brunch staple, transforming leftover ham, bacon, or other breakfast meats into elegant meals that impressed guests without straining budgets, reflecting history dating back to the 1700s and 1800s when European influences shaped American cuisine. The beauty of quiche lay in its versatility. The basic custard base could showcase whatever ingredients needed, using up, from vegetables to cheese to small amounts of expensive proteins. The foundation was always the same: eggs, cream or milk, and cheese baked in a pastry crust until set. Bacon was traditional, but Southern cooks discovered that leftover ham, sausage, or even fried chicken could work equally well. Making quiche became a way to use up odds and ends in the refrigerator, turning potential waste into something special that represented the ingenuity of 1900s home cooking. Half a cup of shredded cheese, a few slices of leftover meat, and some wilted vegetables could combine into a dish suitable for company. The presentation factor couldn't be underestimated. A golden quiche looked sophisticated and deliberate, never revealing its humble origins as a cleanup dish for leftovers. Wild rice with mushrooms. Exotic wild rice brought sophistication to Southern tables without the price tag that usually accompanied gourmet ingredients, representing the evolution of Southern cooking throughout America's culinary food history. While more expensive than regular rice, wild rice's nutty flavor and chewy texture meant a little went a long way, especially when combined with mushrooms and other vegetables to create filling side dishes that felt special enough for company. The preparation required patience. Wild rice took longer to cook than regular rice, often needing 45 minutes to an hour of simmering. The key was using flavorful liquid instead of plain water, often chicken or vegetable stock enhanced with herbs. Mushrooms provided earthiness and bulk that made the dish more substantial. Button mushrooms were most affordable, but creative cooks learned to combine small amounts of expensive varieties with cheaper ones to boost flavor without breaking budgets. The finished product looked impressive on holiday tables, its dark grains and varied textures suggesting expensive restaurant fare, while leftovers transformed into stuffing for poultry or bases for soups. Hash brown casserole. The ultimate potluck contribution, hash brown casserole combined frozen potatoes with canned soup and cheese to create crowd-pleasing comfort food that could be assembled ahead of time, embodying the tasting history of the 1930s when convenience foods began revolutionizing tasty history. This wasn't gourmet cooking. It was practical family food that satisfied large groups without requiring exceptional cooking skills or expensive ingredients. The basic formula was simple: frozen hash browns, cream of mushroom soup, sour cream, and cheese mixed together and baked until bubbly and golden. Families developed their own variations, adding onions for sharpness, bell peppers for color, or different cheeses for variety. Some topped their casseroles with crushed cornflakes or crackers for extra crunch. The make-ahead nature made this dish invaluable for busy families and potluck situations. Casseroles could be assembled the night before, refrigerated, and baked when needed. Economically, the dish made sense because it turned inexpensive frozen potatoes into something that felt indulgent through the addition of dairy products and cheese, feeding a dozen people as a side dish. Sweet potato casserole. Southern holiday tables weren't complete without sweet potato casserole, a dish that transformed humble root vegetables into dessert-like side dishes that pleased children and adults alike during the 1970s and 1980s, when vintage holiday traditions created lasting impressions. The traditional preparation involved mashing cooked sweet potatoes with butter, eggs, and spices, then topping the mixture with either marshmallows or a crunchy pecan streusel before baking. Sweet potatoes were economical choices because they stored well, provided substantial nutrition, and had naturally sweet flavors that required minimal enhancement. Many families grew their own sweet potatoes, making the dish essentially free except for the dairy and sugar additions. The marshmallow versus pecan topping debate divided families and regions, with each side defending their preferred version with passionate loyalty. Marshmallow fans appreciated the gooey sweetness and visual appeal, while pecan advocates preferred the textural contrast and sophisticated flavor. The casserole format meant the dish could be prepared ahead of time and reheated, crucial for holiday meal planning when oven space was at premium, with leftovers eaten as breakfast or dessert. Macaroni and tomatoes. This simple combination proved that comfort food didn't require complicated ingredient lists or techniques, evoking childhood memories of the America we remember and creating waves of nostalgia. Macaroni and tomatoes brought together pantry staples into meals that satisfied without straining budgets, especially when gardens provided fresh tomatoes or home canning supplied preserved ones through winter months. The basic preparation involved cooking macaroni until tender, then combining it with cooked tomatoes seasoned with onions, salt, pepper, and often a touch of sugar to balance acidity. Some families added ground beef when budgets allowed, while others enhanced the dish with cheese or bacon grease for extra richness. The beauty lay in its adaptability to whatever ingredients were available. Canned tomatoes made this dish possible year-round, but peak tomato season transformed it into something special that filled homes with memories. Fresh tomatoes added brightness and complexity that canned versions couldn't match, and surplus garden tomatoes found perfect use in large batches. The economic appeal was undeniable. Both macaroni and tomatoes were inexpensive, filling ingredients that could stretch to feed unexpected guests or provide multiple meals from single batches. Buffalo chicken celery boats. Before buffalo chicken wings conquered America, creative cooks were finding ways to stretch expensive chicken into appetizers and light meals that delivered big flavors from small amounts of meat, showcasing the innovative spirit that any retro foodie would appreciate through culinary history. Celery boats provided the perfect vehicle for spicy chicken salad made from leftover poultry, hot sauce, and cream cheese or mayonnaise. The preparation was straightforward. Shred cooked chicken, mix it with hot sauce, and binding ingredients to taste. Then stuff the mixture into celery stalks, cut into boat-like portions. The celery provided crunch and freshness that balanced the spicy chicken, while the presentation made simple ingredients look deliberate and sophisticated. This dish exemplified Southern creativity in stretching proteins and using vegetables in unexpected ways. Celery was inexpensive and provided satisfying crunch, while small amounts of chicken could be enhanced with bold flavors to seem more substantial. The make-ahead nature was another advantage. The chicken mixture actually improved in flavor when allowed to sit, and the assembled boats could be prepared hours before serving, reducing stress during entertaining. Pineapple chicken. Sweet and savory combinations defined much of 1970s cooking, and pineapple chicken perfectly captured the era's love affair with fruit in main dishes, representing culinary innovations from the 1700s through the 1800s that influenced 1900s American cooking. This wasn't traditional Southern cuisine, but it became popular because it transformed inexpensive chicken into something that felt exotic and special without requiring expensive or hard-to-find ingredients. The basic preparation involved baking chicken pieces with pineapple rings, often enhanced with soy sauce, brown sugar, and sometimes green peppers for color and crunch. The pineapple juice helped tenderize the chicken while adding sweetness that balanced savory seasonings. Canned pineapple made the dish possible year-round and kept costs reasonable. Families loved how the dish looked impressive on dinner tables, with golden chicken pieces topped by bright pineapple rings that suggested tropical luxury. Children were often more willing to try chicken prepared this way, the familiar sweetness making them more adventurous about trying new flavors. Green Goddess salad. This herb-packed dressing transformed simple lettuce into something special, proving that homemade condiments could elevate basic ingredients without significant expense while showcasing Southern cooking innovations that defined America's diverse food history. Green Goddess dressing combined mayonnaise, sour cream, herbs, and seasonings into bright green sauces that made even iceberg lettuce taste gourmet. The original dressing featured anchovies, but Southern adaptations often substituted more accessible ingredients like garlic powder or onion powder. Fresh herbs like chives, parsley, or tarragon provided the signature green color and fresh flavors, while lemon juice added brightness that cut through the rich dairy base. Making dressing from scratch meant families could control ingredients and costs, while avoiding processed foods becoming increasingly common in grocery stores. One batch of Green Goddess dressing could last for days, transforming multiple salads and even serving as dip for vegetables or spread for sandwiches. The salad itself usually featured lettuce, tomatoes, and whatever other vegetables were available or affordable, with the bold dressing making even simple ingredients taste special and sophisticated. Potted meat sandwiches. These might not sound appealing now, but potted meat sandwiches were lunchbox staples that provided protein and satisfaction at prices working families could afford, representing the practical tasting history of the 1930s, when families made do with available ingredients and created memorable, tasty history. Small cans of potted meat could be enhanced with mayonnaise, pickles, and seasonings to create sandwich fillings that were more interesting than their humble origins suggested. The key was not serving potted meat straight from the can. Mixing it with mayonnaise, chopped onions, pickles, or hard-boiled eggs created textures and flavors that disguised the processed nature of the base ingredient. Some families added mustard for tang or hot sauce for heat, customizing the mixture to family preferences. Children often preferred these sandwiches to fancier alternatives because the flavors were mild and familiar. The smooth texture was easy to eat, and the sandwiches held up well in lunchboxes without becoming soggy or falling apart during transport to school or work. Economically, potted meat provided significant protein for very little money, making it valuable for families struggling to provide adequate nutrition on tight budgets while serving its purpose of filling stomachs. Slow cooker Brunswick stew. Brunswick stew represented the pinnacle of Southern one-pot cooking, combining whatever meats and vegetables were available into thick, hearty stews that could feed crowds during the 1970s and 1980s, when vintage cooking methods created lasting family traditions. The slow cooker version made this traditional dish more accessible to busy families, requiring minimal active cooking time while developing complex flavors. Traditional Brunswick stew might include rabbit, squirrel, or whatever wild game was available. But 1970s versions usually featured chicken, pork, or beef combined with vegetables like corn, lima beans, and tomatoes. The slow cooking process allowed tough, inexpensive cuts of meat to become tender, while vegetables broke down into thick, satisfying stews. The beauty of Brunswick stew was its flexibility. No two batches were exactly alike because cooks used whatever ingredients were available or needed using up. Leftover vegetables, small amounts of different meats, and even bones for flavor could all contribute to the final product. Slow cookers made the dish even more practical for working families, with ingredients combined in the morning, left to cook all day, and ready when families returned home tired and hungry to houses filled with amazing aromas. Cheesy cabbage casserole. Cabbage was one of the most economical vegetables available, but many families struggled to make it appealing to children and picky eaters, creating childhood memories of the America we remember, filled with creative cooking solutions and warm nostalgia. Cheesy cabbage casserole solved this problem by combining shredded cabbage with cream sauce and cheese, then baking everything until bubbly and golden. The preparation involved cooking cabbage until tender, then layering it with cheese sauce made from butter, flour, milk, and cheese. Some versions included breadcrumb toppings for extra texture, while others relied on the cheese to provide golden color and rich flavor. The key was not overcooking the cabbage initially, since it would continue cooking in the oven. This dish proved that almost any vegetable could be made appealing through the addition of cheese and cream sauce. Children who would never eat plain cabbage would often accept it when presented this way, helping families include nutritious vegetables in their meals without battles at the dinner table. The casserole format meant the dish could be prepared ahead of time and baked when needed, perfect for busy weeknight dinners or potluck contributions, with one head of inexpensive cabbage feeding a large family. Chicken fried steak. Nothing epitomized Southern comfort food like chicken fried steak, a dish that transformed tough, inexpensive cuts of beef into tender, satisfying meals through the magic of tenderizing, breading, and frying, creating lasting memories that any retro foodie would treasure throughout history. This wasn't about using premium steaks. It was about making the most of whatever beef was affordable and available. The process began with pounding steaks to break down tough fibers, often using cube steaks that had already been mechanically tenderized. The steaks were then dredged in seasoned flour, dipped in buttermilk or beaten eggs, and coated again before being fried in hot oil until golden and crispy. The cream gravy was just as important as the steak itself, made from the flavorful drippings left in the pan after frying. This gravy not only provided flavor, but also helped stretch the meal, covering both the steaks and any side dishes like mashed potatoes or biscuits. Chicken fried steak proved that technique could overcome ingredient limitations, transforming tough, cheap cuts of meat into something tender and delicious through proper preparation, with hearty portions satisfying even the hungriest family members without requiring expensive ingredients. Classic Parmesan scalloped potatoes. Scalloped potatoes elevated humble spuds into something elegant enough for company dinners while remaining economical enough for everyday meals, representing culinary traditions that evolved from the 1700s through the 1800s and flourished in the 1900s American kitchens. The combination of thinly sliced potatoes, cream sauce, and cheese created rich, satisfying side dishes that could anchor entire meals. The key to perfect scalloped potatoes was consistent slicing. Thin, uniform potato slices cooked evenly and created attractive presentations. Many families invested in simple mandolin slicers or used sharp knives and patience to achieve professional-looking results. The layering process required attention to ensure even distribution of sauce and cheese. Parmesan cheese added sophistication and sharp flavor that enhanced the mild potatoes and rich cream sauce. While Parmesan was more expensive than cheddar or other common cheeses, a little went a long way in terms of flavor impact, making the investment worthwhile for special occasions. The make-ahead nature made scalloped potatoes perfect for holiday meals when oven space and timing were critical, with casseroles assembled hours ahead, refrigerated, and baked when needed, reducing stress during busy meal preparation periods while creating impressive side dishes. Copper penny salad. This colorful carrot salad became a potluck favorite, transforming inexpensive carrots into bright, flavorful dishes that looked far more expensive than their simple ingredient lists suggested, showcasing the creative Southern cooking traditions that defined America's diverse food history. The copper penny name came from the coin-shaped carrot slices that gave the salad its distinctive appearance. The preparation involved cooking carrot coins until just tender, then marinating them in a tangy dressing made from tomato soup, vinegar, sugar, and seasonings. The unexpected use of canned tomato soup as a dressing base created unique flavors that guests could never quite identify, making the dish memorable and conversation-worthy. The marinated nature meant the salad actually improved over time, making it perfect for advanced preparation and large gatherings. The bright orange color added visual appeal to potluck tables dominated by beige casseroles and brown meats, helping the dish stand out among more common offerings. Economically, carrots were among the most affordable vegetables available year-round, and the salad could feed many people from just a few pounds of carrots, with other ingredients being pantry staples that most families already had on hand. Chicken spaghetti casserole. This fusion of Southern comfort food and Italian influences created hearty casseroles that could feed large families without straining budgets, representing the tasting history of the 1930s when creative cooks blended traditions to create memorable, tasty history. Unlike traditional spaghetti with meat sauce, chicken spaghetti combined pasta with shredded chicken, vegetables, and cheese sauce to create one-dish meals. The foundation usually involved cooking spaghetti until just tender, then combining it with cooked chicken, sautéed vegetables like onions and bell peppers, and a cheese sauce made from processed cheese or canned soup. Some versions included mushrooms, peas, or other vegetables to add nutrition and stretch the chicken further. The casserole format meant everything could be assembled ahead of time and baked when needed, perfect for busy families or potluck contributions. The combination of pasta and protein created complete meals that satisfied without requiring additional side dishes, simplifying both preparation and cleanup. Leftover chicken found perfect use in these casseroles, whether from roasted birds, fried chicken dinners, or even rotisserie chickens purchased on sale, with the pasta and sauce disguising any imperfections in leftover meat while creating something that tasted completely fresh and intentional. Ambrosia salad. This Southern classic combined canned fruit, coconut, and marshmallows into sweet salads that served as both side dishes and desserts during the 1970s and 1980s, when vintage cooking created special occasions that became treasured family traditions. While not exactly health food, ambrosia salad provided affordable ways to include fruit in family meals while creating treats that children would actually eat. The basic combination included mandarin oranges, pineapple chunks, maraschino cherries, coconut, and mini marshmallows bound together with whipped topping or sour cream. Some families added chopped pecans when budgets allowed, while others included grapes for extra freshness and texture. Using canned fruits meant ambrosia could be made year-round regardless of season, and the long shelf life of the ingredients made it possible to prepare the salad whenever needed. The sweet flavors appealed to children who might otherwise resist eating fruit, making it easier for parents to include nutritious ingredients in family meals. The make-ahead nature was another advantage. Ambrosia actually improved in flavor when allowed to sit overnight, letting all the ingredients meld together perfectly for advanced preparation that made it ideal for potluck dinners and holiday meals. Bangers and mash with Guinness gravy. While not traditionally Southern, this British comfort food found homes in Southern kitchens during the 1970s as families experimented with international flavors, creating childhood memories of the America we remember when families embraced culinary adventures with warm nostalgia. The combination of inexpensive sausages, mashed potatoes, and rich gravy created hearty meals that satisfied without requiring expensive ingredients. Bangers referred to any type of sausage, though bratwurst or Italian sausages were most commonly available in Southern grocery stores. The key was browning the sausages well to develop flavor, then using the rendered fat and browned bits to create rich gravies that enhanced both the sausages and potatoes. Guinness or other dark beers added depth and complexity to the gravy, but families often substituted beef broth or even coffee for similar results. The alcohol cooked out during preparation, leaving behind rich flavors that made simple ingredients taste sophisticated and complex. The one-pan preparation meant less cleanup, always important for busy families, with sausages browned, removed, and kept warm while gravy was made in the same pan. Then everything served together over creamy mashed potatoes for complete, satisfying meals that brought international flair to Southern tables. Swedish meatballs in creamy gravy. These weren't authentically Swedish, but they provided ways to stretch ground beef into elegant dishes suitable for company dinners or special family meals, creating lasting memories that retro cooks and modern foodies continue to appreciate throughout culinary history. The small meatballs cooked quickly and could be made from less expensive ground beef mixed with breadcrumbs and seasonings. The creamy gravy was what made the dish special, usually made with beef broth, cream, and sometimes a touch of sour cream for tang. The meatballs were simmered in the gravy, allowing flavors to meld while keeping the meat tender and moist. Some versions included mushrooms or onions for extra flavor and substance. Egg noodles were the traditional accompaniment, their broad surfaces perfect for capturing the rich gravy. 1 pound of ground beef could create enough meatballs to feed a large family when extended with breadcrumbs and served over pasta with plenty of gravy. The make-ahead potential made Swedish meatballs perfect for entertaining, with meatballs formed and even cooked ahead of time, then reheated in the gravy just before serving. This advanced preparation meant less stress when guests arrived and more time to spend socializing rather than cooking, while creating impressive meals from humble ingredients. Pot roast. The ultimate Sunday dinner, pot roast transformed tough, inexpensive cuts of beef into tender, flavorful meals that could feed families for days, representing culinary traditions that evolved from the 1700s through the 1800s and became staples of 1900s American home cooking. Chuck roasts and other less expensive cuts became fall-apart tender through slow, moist cooking methods that required minimal attention once started. The process began with browning the roast to develop flavor, then adding vegetables like onions, carrots, and potatoes, along with liquid for braising. The long, slow cooking broke down tough fibers, while vegetables absorbed the rich flavors from the meat, creating complete meals in single pots. Smart cooks started their pot roasts early on Sunday mornings, letting them cook slowly while families attended church or other activities. The house would be filled with incredible aromas upon return, and dinner would be nearly ready with minimal additional work required. Leftovers provided multiple additional meals throughout the week. The tender beef could be used for sandwiches. The vegetables became side dishes for other meals, and the flavorful cooking liquid served as base for soups or gravies, making one-pot roast influence meals for an entire week. Chicken and collards pilau. This low-country specialty combined rice with chicken and collard greens to create one-pot meals that provided complete nutrition while using ingredients that were either affordable or grown at home, showcasing Southern cooking innovations that shaped America's rich food history through generations of creative home cooks. Pilau, pronounced purloo, was the perfect way to stretch chicken and make collard greens appealing to family members who might otherwise resist them. The preparation involved cooking chicken until tender, then using the flavorful broth to cook rice while stirring in chopped collard greens during the final stages. The greens wilted into the rice, distributing their nutrition throughout the dish, while their slightly bitter flavor was balanced by the rich chicken broth. This dish exemplified the creativity of Southern cooks in combining ingredients that might not seem obviously compatible. Collards were extremely nutritious but could be challenging for children to eat, while the familiar flavors of chicken and rice made them more acceptable. The one-pot nature meant less cleanup and fuel consumption, important considerations for families watching both time and money, with everything cooking together to allow flavors to meld while creating complete meals that required no additional side dishes.